tell you a little bit more about Yin Yoga. We'll start in Gomukhasana, also known as cow face pose, with the legs. So you'll take your right leg and you'll place your right leg down on the ground in front of you. And then your left leg is going to come and stack on top of the right. Now ideally you're looking for your knees to stack just about one right on top of the other, but everybody's hips are different. Some of us have really tight hips and this just might not be accessible for you, and that's okay. If you need to, you can always straighten out your bottom leg, which might make it a little bit easier for you to stack this top knee on top. And if the knee doesn't get all the way over to the knee, that's okay. Maybe your pose looks a little bit more something like this. That works too. If you have access to props or a big book and you need extra support for your knees, you can always take a block and prop up your leg or your knee for some extra support. So we're going to start just in this Gomukhasana cow face position. I want you to make sure that your sit bones are grounding down, that one sit bone isn't elevated up off the ground. But I'm not so worried about the angle that your legs are at or whether or not your toes are pointed or flexed. Whatever's going to be comfortable for you here. You might already be feeling some sensation here, in which case, great. Embrace it, enjoy it. You might not be feeling anything at all, in which case, great. Embrace it, enjoy it. So the first thing we're going to do in this position, besides the fact that this position in and of itself might be offering you some feedback and sensation, we'll add in the arms. So I want you to take the right leg, that's the bottom leg. The right arm then is going to reach up. You'll bend your elbow and give yourself a little pat on the back. Congratulate yourself for showing up to do this practice today. The other hand is going to come back around and grab for your fingertips, your shirts. If you have access to a strap or a belt, you can use the strap or the belt behind you. Go ahead and set up your hands in this way. Now, it doesn't matter if you can touch your fingers or not, and I don't want you to really be pulling on your hands too much. I want you to just rest here and feel as comfortable as you possibly can. This might be uncomfortable in the sensations that you're feeling, but I don't want you to be pulling too hard. Mandy, my dog, is going to join us here for our Yin class today. So Yin is different than a normal asana or posture yoga class that you would go to, in the sense that we're going to hold these postures for a longer period of time than we normally would. Let's focus on your breath here. So take a deep breath in through your nose and a deep breath out through the nose. All I want you to do as we hold this position is continue to breathe in and out through your nose, and if any time you feel like you need an extra big exhale, you can always exhale out of your mouth as well. So why do we hold these poses for long periods of time? Well, the purpose of a Yin yoga practice is really to access the fascia, the connective tissue that wraps all around our bones and our muscles and our tendons and our ligaments and our organs. And this layer of connective tissue is not able to be accessed by just your normal stretches. It's a very firm layer of tissue, very densely packed together, and it takes some time for it to be able to unwind and loosen up and get a little bit more flexible. And so by spending extra time in each pose, we're able to access that connective tissue layer. The trick is, or the key to really access that connective tissue layer, is to not try. We don't want this to be a muscular experience. We don't want this to be like we're really trying hard to get the biggest stretch we possibly can. We're definitely going to be feeling sensation, and perhaps we might label that sensation as stretch, and that's totally okay, but we are not choosing to move more towards sensation or more towards stretch, as much as we're really just allowing the body to gently unwind, if that makes any sense. So you might notice that as you're taking these deep breaths in and out, you're able to go a little bit deeper or experience the pose a little bit deeper, or you experience the sensations in a slightly different way. not because you're forcing the body to go any further, not because you're forcing the knees to get any further down towards the ground, or because you're trying to pull the fingers closer together or the elbows farther apart, but just because the body over time is naturally able to ease itself a little deeper into the pose. So take another deep breath in here, and a deep breath out. And now I'm going to have you release your arms, and now we're going to take this into a side bend. So your right hand is going to come down towards your side, and I'll have you reach the left arm up overhead. Now, if you want, you can lower down onto your elbow or bend the elbow and come a little deeper into the side bend. You can also release this hand down by your side and take the hand behind you if you like. And again, we're going to stay here for a little bit. All I want you to pay attention to is your sit bones, and make sure that both of your sit bones are still grounded. You can drop your ear down towards your shoulder. Remember to take deep breaths in and out. And really stay present with your physical sensation, especially in the neck here. If the arm's overhead, you might be feeling it all the way through the shoulder and the outer edge of the arm. You might still be really feeling a lot of sensation in the hips. Just breathe into that sensation. Now, of course, we want to avoid pain. Any sensations that are sharp or shooting or any numbness is best avoided. But any other sensation, maybe you take an extra breath to ask yourself, what is this really? Is this painful? Does this feel beneficial or harmful? And ultimately, you have to make that determination for yourself. This is part of the practice of Yin, really getting to know yourself, your internal landscape, and how your body processes sensation. Let's take another deep breath in here, and deep breath out. And then come all the way back up to center. And now slowly unwind your legs, and we will wind in the opposite direction. So now the right leg that was on the bottom is going to become the leg that is on the top. So you'll stack the knees. Again, you can straighten out the bottom leg if you need to. And you might notice that this side feels a little or a lot different than the other side, and that's totally normal. We are not trying to even things out here. We are not trying to reach a particular goal. All we're trying to do is allow the body to naturally release. So we'll start with the arm stretch. Now the left arm is going to reach up overhead. Give yourself a pat on the back. Take the opposite arm around and grab for the fingertips or your strap or belt, whatever you have. You might let your chin drop. Come back to your breath. Now the thing about Yin is that alignment doesn't matter so much here because we're not using our muscles. We're not actively moving, which means that there's less chance that we're really going to hurt ourselves because we're paying really close attention to the sensations in our body, and we're developing that discernment to know when we need to shift a little bit because something might be harmful. There are a few different approaches to Yin Yoga that are commonly taught, and Yin Yoga, as it's most popularly known, is really a practice that stems from the practices of traditional Chinese medicine. So it's common to hear talk about meridian lines and organs and different acupressure points as you're practicing Yin, if you're taking Yin classes, and that's wonderful and awesome. I want to offer a slightly different perspective to Yin Yoga. We're still doing the same postures and affecting the same idea of the fascia and the connective tissue, but instead of focusing on the meridian lines and those energetic centers, which really come from traditional Chinese medicine and is not something that I am trained in or know very much about, I want to offer up a yogic perspective or a philosophical perspective that really comes from the traditions of yoga, specifically out of India and the classical yoga tradition, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So this Yin practice really gives us space to develop the discernment that is necessary for achieving higher states of wisdom. And the yin practice gives us the chance to really practice letting go and releasing not only physical tension in the body, but really tension in the mind and in the emotions as well. Go ahead and release the arms here. And now we'll take our side bend over in the other direction. You can always lower down to the forearm and either reach that top arm overhead or take it behind you for a half bind. Maybe drop your ear down towards your shoulder. And you know we're going to be holding this posture for a minute or so, maybe even more. So allow yourself to go into it gradually. The Yoga Sutras tell us that the practice of yoga must be practiced gradually, over long periods of time, very consistently. And it's referenced again and again how long yoga practice really takes, how long this path of enlightenment really is. So really give yourself that time here on this microcosmic scale. Really focus on the breath, the deep breaths in, the deep breaths out. And pay particular attention to the end of the exhalations, which you might just find invite you a little bit deeper into your experience of sensation. Now, it's okay if you have to do little shifts. It's okay if after an exhale or two you might go a little bit deeper. Let that gradually unfold, naturally unfold, rather than forcing the body into your end range of motion here. Take another deep breath in. Deep breath out. Slowly rise back up. So we're going to stay here with our legs where they are. Now we're going to fold into a Gomukhasana fold or a cow face fold. Sometimes this pose is called shoelace in yin classes as well. So you can walk your hands out in front of you. Now, I know that some of you can totally just plop down onto the ground and fold all the way over. But when you do that, you lose out on so much sensation along the way. And all of the sensations that you are experiencing have some wisdom behind them or something to offer you. So don't skip out or ignore those sensations along the way, because you might be skipping out or ignoring a really important piece of information that your body is trying to communicate to you. And when we go really slowly, then we know that our body's ready. We're not forcing anything. Breathe deeply in and out here. So typically in your yin yoga classes, you'll hold postures for anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. Here we're really just giving you a taste. So we're holding postures about a minute, 2 minutes maybe. And you're certainly feeling some sensation in the hips, and we tapped into the shoulders. We got into the side of the body. Now you might also be experiencing some sensation in the spine along the back of the body. Another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And slowly walk your hands back up. We'll unwind the legs and go into the other side again so that we can do our forward fold on the other side. So slowly unwind the legs. Be really careful here. Use your arms to help support you. Sometimes when we come out of our yin postures, we feel a little achy. That's okay. That's just our fascia, our connective tissue kind of realigning. As you're ready, slowly walk yourself into your fold on the other side. And the great thing about yin is that it's not about how far you can fold down. We're not really trying to reach any goals. I'm not trying to teach you to get to a certain place. I don't care how far you fold or if you fold at all. Maybe you're just sitting upright and dropping your chin down, and that's enough sensation for you to experience right there. Let your body really guide you and tell you where you need to go so that you can learn the lessons that your body is trying to communicate to you. Because of the pace of our daily life, things just get so busy and we're not paying attention to the messages of not only the physical body, but the subtle body. And these messages contain so much wisdom and information, and most of the time we're just ignoring that wisdom and information. And when we ignore that information, then we allow an environment to crop up that is conducive to disease and inflammation and other bad things that we then experience that then manifest physically in the body. If we can give ourselves the space and the time to understand what's going on physically and on those more subtle layers, mentally and emotionally, when we're able to receive those messages and get that information, then we can do something about it. We can prevent the manifestations from happening later in later stages of disease. One of my favorite pieces of wisdom from Ayurveda is that when we experience sickness or illness, disease, even a common cold, that's like the 6th stage of disease. That's the end stage of disease. That cold was developing in many different stages, in many different subtle ways, previously to it manifesting physically in the body. If we can catch that cold developing in stage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, then maybe we have a chance of not experiencing the full range of physical symptoms that we might feel when that cold is in stage 6. But to do that, we have to find space and we have to give ourselves time. And I know we don't have any more time, but we have to make it. We have to make this a commitment. And we have to tell ourselves that this is probably the most important work that we can do for our health and our well-being. It's just to take time for ourselves and really figure out what it is that's going to be most nourishing to not only our body, but also our mind and our spirit. Go ahead and walk the hands back up. Now we're going to slowly unwind the legs. We've been sitting in that Gomukhasana position for a long time, so straighten out the legs now in front of you. And yeah, they might feel a little achy, a little different. Just take a couple breaths here, experiencing all the sensations that are present in your body right now, without judging, without labeling them as good or bad. Take another deep breath in, and deep breath out. This practice of Yin really teaches us how to let go, which is such an important lesson that we can learn in life. It's teaching us how to let go of physical tension in the body, even at the layer of the connective tissue and the fascia. It's teaching us how to let go at the mental layer, all of the random monkey mind thoughts that are going all over the place. It's teaching us to let go at the emotional layer, to release any emotional blockages or holdups that are causing us to feel confused or overwhelmed. It's asking us to stretch deeper in the body, all over the body, the shoulders, the hips, the back, the places where we hold a lot of that tension. So there are so many benefits to practicing Yin Yoga, and it's giving us this space to really go inside and learn more about ourselves so that we can be more confident in ourselves and happier in our daily lives. I hope that you'll join me for more Yin classes soon.